Joining us now, Punchbowl News co-founder and MSNBC political contributor Jake Sherman, managing editor of The Bulwark and MSNBC contributor Sam Stein, and independent journalist Phil Bump, the man with all the numbers. Jake, I'm going to begin with you because I ended there with the separation of powers. And the one thing that the founders foresaw is that if one of the branches overshot their authority, if they went too far, the other branches would come in and adjust it. They would have leverage over the other powers. But in this case, the Republicans in Congress don't have any desire to check Donald Trump. Why is that?
Well, it goes back, Katie, to the first term, to be honest with you. It goes back all the way to the first term when Trump, established an iron grip on the House Republican Conference. And now, Katie, we talk a lot about gerrymandering as the Republicans try to redraw maps across the country. But everybody in the House Republican Conference, save 2, 3, 4 people, go home. And their primary political hurdle is a primary challenge. That's their biggest obstacle to getting reelected. So in that case, you win very few brownie points or political points for pushing back against a president that is widely popular with the Republican base. It's as simple as that. And I just had this conversation with a member of House Republican leadership not too long ago who took umbrage with the fact that we said if Republicans keep the House majority, Trump will kind of have a welcome mat or a welcoming Congress for the next 4 years, or the next 2 years rather. And Republicans just don't see it that way. They say they deal with their problems with Trump behind closed doors. I mean, I've seen no evidence of that at all. They are a complete arm of the White House. They don't take a step without talking to the White House or ever push back on anything he says. So, I don't know exactly how we got there, but that I think is a pretty good summation.
Yeah, and one of the other arguments that Andrew Sullivan makes is that part of the reason why Republicans aren't doing this and what has worked for Donald Trump is that the hate of the left is more powerful to them than their love of the Constitution. So Republicans had been, and the conservatives have been the protectors of the Constitution and federalism and the separation of powers and making sure that authority doesn't go unchecked. But because they have such a vitriolic disdain for the left right now, Sam, they're willing to just let all of that go and give Donald Trump whatever he wants.
Yeah, I do think one of the primary motivations right now for Republicans and certainly for conservatives in the media space and in the political media space is trying to what they would call trigger liberals. I mean, a lot of what they do from a policy perspective, a lot of what they do from a political perspective is meant to get a rise from their opponents. And so when you have that as kind of the axis around which everything revolves, then of course you're going to gravitate towards the person who's the best at doing that, which is Donald Trump. I mean, and keep in mind, Donald Trump burst onto the scene politically, pushing birtherism. He got a rise out of his opponents. And I think, look, obviously it's not the most sophisticated way to go about doing things. It's certainly not necessarily the most collaborative way to do things, but there is something savvy in this sense, which is that so much of what we do now is around attention and generating it and capitalizing on it. And if you can trigger outrage, if you can trigger controversy, if you can trigger a backlash, if you can trigger a fight, then you're going to dominate that type of economy. And so I look at things like, for instance, deciding that the National Guard should be dispatched to Washington, D.C. As part of that, right? I mean, one of the reasons that it's being done is not just because Trump legitimately thinks there's a need to tamp down on crime in the capital city. It's because he knows that this is going to be met with a reaction from the left that he can then capitalize on. And so this is part of what's uniting Republicans. It's part of why Trump has an iron grip on the Republicans. And I think it explains a lot of Trump's governance, too.
Yeah, that is interesting, because when Democrats go after Donald Trump for using these authorities and saying that the crime stats that he's put out there are not accurate and crime is actually down in D.C., it enables Donald Trump to make the argument that Democrats don't care about crime. Sure. They don't want to fight crime. It's a hard battle to have when Donald Trump is setting the terms.
Yeah, I mean, this has sort of been the story of the past 10 years. That the Democrats have found themselves, or any Trump opponent, not just Democrats, have found themselves on the defensive in trying to defend things that aren't terribly popular, right? That you have to defend institutions. You have to say, well, actually, the reality is more nuanced and more complicated than that. And no one likes to hear that,
They
right?
want to
Like,
explain.
Yeah, exactly. They want to explain, right? And if you try and push back, the base of the Democratic Party also wants to have that approach. There's an element of it, I think, which is sort of hostile to the idea of getting in and getting into these sort of spats because they're often so detached from reality. I think fundamentally, when we talk about these emergencies that Donald Trump did, I think it was the package there was absolutely right in pointing out the extent to which Donald Trump simply doesn't care about the reality, right? And so we have these real numbers about what crime looks like in D.C. and about, for that matter, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, these various things where Donald Trump is saying, well, you can't trust the numbers, but you can trust the numbers. He just has done such a good job of convincing his base that they shouldn't trust the numbers, that is also what builds the loyalty.
But this is not coming from a position of strength for him. It's not him arguing that my policies are best and my ideas are best and they're going to win out the ballot box. It's him creating emergencies to declare authorities that he can't get from legislation. Yeah,
I think there's the D.C. thing in particular, I think, involves a lot of different conflicting emotions for him. But you're absolutely right that when we talk about him taking these sorts of steps, it's not him approaching this as I'm the popular president and people are going along with what I want. It is I want to do this thing my way. People don't want to do it that way. And so I'm going to take this step that is straining the executive authority that he has.
Jake, I know that Congress is on break right now, so, it's not so easy to wrangle consensus opinion from the Democrats, but have you heard anything from them that edges up to a consensus on how they plan on pushing back on this?
No, I haven't. And to be honest with you, I was talking to a Democrat yesterday who said it's a good political issue for Trump. I mean, especially on the crime in D.C. front. I mean, listen, we're an American city. Crime is bad in a bunch of American cities, including Washington. Now, does it necessitate pulling FBI agents out of the Washington field office to do traffic stops? Probably not, right? I mean, does it require all of the things that he's done? No. But the Democrats that I've spoken to, I'm sure I'll get hate tweets and all this stuff about this. It's a complicated issue. It is for them. It's complicated to say that, in their view, to stand up and say, no, crime is not bad in this city, and you shouldn't deploy these extra resources. Now, maybe, we're still a couple weeks away, Katie, from them coming back, so maybe consensus will form, it will build, it will change, but just saying, well, the stats are different, as you guys were just talking about, Trump says, actually, no, crime is bad, even though crime is down in D.C. People his base trusts him and not the numbers.
Well, why is it so hard, Sam, for Democrats to say, yeah, crime is bad, and we do want to fight it, and we think there should be more police on the streets, or we think that we can get it done this way, but deploying the military on American streets to enforce laws against American citizens, that's un-American. We don't do that in this country. Why is it so hard for them to find a way to push back on it? Why do they have to get into the nuance of the numbers?
Well, first of all, I don't need any permission to hate tweet Jake, and just so Jake knows that. They're coming, buddy. Okay. Secondly, Katie, have you met a Democrat ever? They live in this limbo where they have difficulty figuring out where to actually go position.
Why?
On these issues. Well, they're scared
do they listen too much to Twitter?
No, well, maybe. I mean, don't we all? But this kind of has
Jake doesn't.
some. That's what he says. It has some echoes of the immigration debate, right? Where the party really just got spooked, frankly, about being badgered on immigration during the campaign, and quickly reverted to a place where they were acquiescent towards Trump on this. And I think there's some lengthy history of Republicans using the issue of urban crime to their advantage. There's not faraway history of that happening. And so I think that the party is very cognizant of that. They don't want to be seen as tolerant of crime. They don't want to be seen as willing to accommodate crime. At the same time, you raise rightful points. This is an unprecedented action. Our U.S. Capitol is going to be taken over to a degree by the military and the National Guard. We're in unprecedented times. getting that nuance right in the form of a political argument can be tricky. I know Democrats make it tricky, but I do think it's one that they probably do from a moral and a political perspective have to make. You can be fine with measures to reduce crime, especially in urban settings, but you do have to properly note the context and the dangers that come with that in this setting.
Yeah. Sam Stein, watch out for Twitter. Jake Sherman.
Always.
Thank you, guys. Phil, don't go anywhere.